morning. We have several special guests here on campus with us. I just want to mention them. We have Mayor of York here, Chuck Harris. Give him a hand. We have Madonna Ogle from the Chamber of Commerce here. Give her a hand. One of our board members is here, Rick Hendricks, and you can give him a hand as well. Here in a few minutes, there's going to be a group of people come up and get swabbed for our bone marrow drive that starts today. It's going to run today, tomorrow, and Wednesday from 10:30 a.m. till 4 o'clock p.m. Is that right, Morgan? 4:30 p.m. There we go. We're very excited about this drive, and I hope everyone comes out to support us. And we have another very special guest here to kind of introduce the drive and talk to you. It's Earl Young. In 1960, Earl Young won the gold medal in a track and field event. He has his gold medal here. If you want to see it, just after chapel, tackle him, and he'll show it to you. So everyone give Earl a hand as he comes up and shares with us.
Good morning. Now I do one of those things that speakers apologize for. I apologize for a raspy voice this morning. It seems that allergy time has arrived in Dallas, Texas, and probably up here too. This is a big day for me, folks, and as we get into it, you'll understand more of that. But let me tell you that 54 years ago, York, Nebraska was the first place I was invited to speak after I won my gold medal. So it's taken a while to get back here, but thank you. And brings back a good memory. That young, gosh, what was I then? When I won the medal, I was 19, so I might have been 20 when I came up here last. I'm 74 now. Thank you, God. And, we'll get into more of that. Let me show you something that I want you all to enjoy today. This is from the Rome Olympics, 1960, and names that were in that you might recognize above Earl Young would be folks like Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali, great boxer, Jerry West, great NBA player for years, Wilma Rudolph, greatest female sprinter I think we've ever had. Rafer Johnson out of California. It was a great Olympics. And I describe it as it was one of the last amateur Olympics. You know, back in those days we couldn't make any money, couldn't even coach. You weren't allowed to take any money for your athletic abilities. Boy, would I like to win today. My goodness gracious. Awesome. But back then, as I said, you couldn't take any money. We were all amateurs. We were out there doing it. The way I like to describe it is for the love of sport. A bunch of young men, young women getting together to see who was the best. And that was back in the days when there were 150 events. Now there are 300 events. And I really kind of wish they'd taper back a little on the games. But with the appetite for it around the world, I doubt that'll happen. As I said, we'll have this medal around today. It's kind of fun to see two antiques together. And, so you can see it anytime you like. I really thank you for the opportunity. Thank the administrators, the city, all of you students. Thank you for the opportunity to present something dear to my heart, which is a bone marrow drive. And I want to tell you my personal story. It's a story I sure never expected to tell on myself. The story I'm going to tell you today is the kind of thing I always thought of as being a story that I hear someone else tell me about themselves, not about me. I've had a good life. Athletics, my business took me all over the world. This medal has been held by presidents and prime ministers and little kids in the Democratic Republic of Congo in South Africa. Most of my business was in Africa for the last since the 1990s. But I got things kind of changed up on September 16th, 2011. I had matter of fact, a similar physical condition I've got today. But I had a little cough, a little cold. Normally, in Texas, those will come on in the summertime. And, you know, guys just wear them out and run through them. Especially jocks. You guys that are athletic, you know, you just kind of push through those little maladies you get. Well, this one wouldn't shake off, and we were starting a new business and a lot of travel. And so I thought, well, I'm just going to go to the doc and get a shot, get a pill, something to knock us out like that. So again, this is September 16th, a little before noon. I go and see my GP, and he says, oh yeah, he says, oh, we can take care of that. He said, they're looking at the file, and he said, you know, you haven't been in 4 years. He said, let me catch up on some things for you. Let's run some tests while I got you there. And he wasn't looking for anything, he just wanted to run tests. You know what I thought? I thought, you know, Dr. Klaver does a lot of Medicare. Let him make some money. Let him take some x-rays and some blood tests. You know, you've got time, right? So that was the thought that was running through my mind. And after the test, I was walking down the hall, and he happened to be walking up the hall. He said, well, I'm glad you haven't left. He said, come to my office. He sits down on his side of the desk. I sit down across from him, and he said, you don't feel bad? I said, no, just a little sniffle and cough. He said, well, you should feel terrible. He said, your white factory is totally shut down, and you're making no whites. Of course, that's your immune system. Okay, still thinking shot or pill. So what are we going to do? He said, I want you to go across the street right now. I'm going to call over to Texas Oncology. I want you to take this file with you, and I'll have a doctor over there ready to see you when you get over there. So I did. I went across. That doctor opened the file, looked at it. And I don't know how many times you've heard this in your life, but maybe in a math class or whatever. But the doctor looked at me and said, this is not good. Okay. He said, we need to do a bone marrow biopsy. All right. He said, do you have time to do it now? Yeah, let's go. So I went back in their operating room. They do a bone marrow biopsy. It's a little procedure they do in your back. No big deal. Came back out to the waiting room. Waited a while. He came out and he said, let's go in my office. Went in his office and he said, Mr. Young, I've got some bad news. Well, again, I hope you don't hear that many times in your life, and I hope it isn't related to your physical condition. He said, you have acute myeloid leukemia. Do you know anything about that? I said, I know you don't want the word leukemia tied in with your name. He said, well, I said, that's right. He said, let me explain to you. Then he took me through some different types of leukemia. And he said, now you with this, not only do you have acute myeloid leukemia, he said you have what we call a FLT3, which was discovered a few years ago, which is basically a supercharger that makes the bad guys kill the good guys even quicker. Well, I knew enough at that point to ask the question. I said, how long do I have? He said, maybe 3 months. Now, not feeling any worse than you feel right now, this doctor sitting across from me was telling me I had 3 months to live. That day started off looking for a pill for a cough and a sniffle. It was quite a shock. And it was, he said, he's sitting there looking at the report. And he said, but you know, this is a message I always try to drive home when I'm speaking to high school students, especially because it fits all of us. He looked at the report and he said, you know, it says on here you're 70, which I was at the time. And he said, if I'm sitting across the table looking at you and I can tell you're not 70. He said, you've obviously got good genes. I will tell you that today my mom is 99, my dad is 95, so he's right on that front. And he said, you've taken care of yourself. And I have. I've been crazy about it. But I've taken care of myself. I watch my weight, I work out. Nothing difficult. He said, because of that, he said, we might be able, he said, I'm pretty confident, matter of fact, that we'd be able to get you permission to have a bone marrow transplant. What's he saying? He's saying that normally guys 70 years old begin to wear out. Something's going wrong on them. They've got stench, they've got trouble with the liver, they've got trouble somewhere. And the reason he was saying that was that at age 70, to recover from a bone marrow transplant is a slice of hell. It is the worst time of my life physically. But I said, he said, now it's either we try to get you a bone marrow transplant or we put you on chemo, string you out as long as we can. Now understand when I say that, for every 10 people that end up with blood cancer and end up with this type of blood cancer, only 4 of them find a transplant. 6 of them don't. And the reason they don't is because people have not signed on as donors. Everybody in the world has multiple combinations of matching for bone marrow. Now before I get ahead of myself, I went in the hospital that night. Began chemo the next day. Had 4 rounds of chemo in the hospital over the next 4 months. And I never felt during the whole time that I wouldn't find a transplant. Now, some of that was just my ignorance. I didn't understand anything about leukemia. I had not devoted much of my life to studying this subject, and had no one in the family that ever had that disease, and so I was very light on my knowledge of it. I just assumed we'd find a bone marrow transplant. About the 3rd month, the doctor said, well, I found 3 that could qualify. Now, at that time, there were only 22 million registered donors. That's nothing. There are only 25 million, a little over 25 million today. This is an awareness thing, friends. People don't hold back. I mean, all you got to do is swab the inside of your cheek. It's just a matter we don't know. That we can put our swab on file, our spit on file, and in fact maybe get a call one day that we can save a life. So at this time, like I said, I was making the assumption that somebody will be out there. But let me tell you who was out there. Out of 22 million people, there was one match. And she lives in Offenburg, Germany, where DKMS, the organization that finds donors, began its career in Germany. Her name's Christine Wag, 42-year-old lady, that 2 months before I was diagnosed had signed on as a bone marrow donor. 2 days before Christmas, she got a call. They said, we think we've got a person in, though I don't tell you what the person is, that's all kept secret. But we have someone that needs your bone marrow. Would you be willing to go to the hospital and have them look deeper into your bone marrow, study a little more, and see if in fact you are a match? She said, of course. She did. And Christine's White's why I'm talking to you today, how I'm allowed to talk to you today, why I'm alive today. I will tell you that the recovery, as I said a minute ago, I use the word hell with it because I don't know anything worse than hell. It is a slice of hell to go through the recovery. You lay in bed, about 3 months you feel pretty good, but then after 3 months it really begins to sink in. You're kicking off the chemo, your body's fighting her cells. I trained this body for 70 years to kill anything that comes in. They were trained pretty well. They're still trying to kill. So they were fighting her while she was trying to take over. It's pretty much taken over now. It's pretty much her cells that take care of my immune side. But I laid there in bed and quoted Paul many times. And that is, for me to die is gain. See, I'm not afraid of dying. I'm a believer. I look forward to that one day, right? But I don't want to hurt. I don't want to go through the pain. And the pain was really something. So whenever you're dealing with folks that are surviving what I'm surviving and they're going through it, remember that. They're going through something you never want to go through. But beyond that, in your body, the way God's made us, in your body right now exists the cells to keep someone like me alive. And all you have to do is extract those white cells and put them into the receiver. It's a simple process. What we do now, and what I'm asking you all to do this week and these days, is in fact to swab. as we say in some circles, to give a spit. And that's just edgy enough to stick with you and let you know what we need. But that's a fact. If you swab the inside of your cheek, we put it on file. There are over 25 million people now, and we want to go much bigger than that. And one day you might get a call. And that call will say, would you in fact let us test your blood? We think you in fact can save a life. We have a young man named Klein, lives in Fort Worth, Texas right now. He calls himself 5 3/4. He's almost 6 years old. He can't go out of his house. We've gone through the entire 25 million registry. Nothing matches. Is there a match? Yes. There are multiple matches. It's a numbers game. The match may be sitting right here. It's just a matter of you swabbing and letting that swab go on the file. And while we're at that point, could I ask the mayor to come up and we'll just proceed with our first swab. Really a pretty simple. Well, let's have a hand for that. This will be painless. It will be painless. That's my problem. And all you do is take these two swabs and just swab each side of your cheek. Yep, inside. Yeah, first better inside. That's all there is to it. That's all there is to it. Now what we do, put those in this folder. I have them fill out a registration form here in a little bit. And we take those and send those to a lab. That lab studies it, puts it on file at the National Registry. And you may get a call one day that says, Mr. Mayor, we'd like you to come down here. You can be a match. And I know you would. I know you would. Thank you. Thank you. What after about a year into my recovery, I started thinking about what am I going to do in the rest of my life, because my immune system is such now. I can't be running back and forth to Africa like I was before. I did a lot of work in Madagascar for a number of years, and you got a different set of parasites out there in different countries and all, so you shouldn't expose yourself to the problems that can come with that. So it dawned on me that where could I take my assets and put those to the best use? And this is where it is. We started Earl Young's team. The website should be up this week. And I'm traveling around to universities like York telling the story. See, the age bracket we want is age 18 to 55. That's the prime. And the reason we want y'all is you'll be with us for decades. We could shoot swab now. That means you can be in there for decades, being able to save a life. And it's as simple as that. You know, in James, in the book of James, James talks about not putting off till tomorrow what you can do today. We're going to go to such and such a city and do such and such. You don't know. You may not be here tomorrow. But which would make you no good for us. The point being, we need to do now and we know to do good. And you know, it goes on and he becomes very pointed with it. And that is that when you know to do right and you don't do it, that's just sin. It's as simple as that. So I'm not trying to come down hard on that. I'm saying that we as believers have an obligation. We know when we're supposed to, when something's to be done out there, and we know it's supposed to be done, that's what we're supposed to get on with. And that's the way I'd like you to do this. I hope you will be signing up with us, and you should be telling people about it. Tell your family members, anyone you can. But this foundation will be going out. We're adding to the team constantly. We've done this kind of program at Lipscomb, at Oklahoma Christian. We're going to do Abilene Christian next week. And we will be doing schools in the faith-based sector. You know, we've got over 1,000 schools in the United States, faith-based schools like York. So those are the schools we're going to first to get students to sign on and become involved with what we're doing. I thank you very much for your time. I thank you for your spit. And there are people out there today that you don't know who thank you. You know, you look at the person to the right and the left of you. You're all donors, but somebody in this crowd is going to be a recipient. And that's for each one of you to think about how you're helping your own schoolmates. It will happen. I'm sorry it happened. One day we'll cure this blasted disease. But right now, you are the only way we can keep folks alive. So thank you very much. Do we have time for questions? Are there any questions that you'd like to ask? Anything coming up? Olympics or blood cancer? Yes?
You told us what the recovery process was like for you, but what's the process like for the person who donates?
Oh, I'm glad you asked that. Let me tell you how simple that is. It's a matter of, for 80% of the people that donate, that are selected, it's like a transfusion. You put a needle in here, the blood goes into a centrifuge, and the T cells are taken out of the centrifuge, then the blood goes back in here minus the T cells. And your good, healthy body starts making more T cells. So it's as simple as that. About 20%, they actually, especially for children, if a recipient is a child, they take it out of the hip. They say, oh, gosh, no. No, they put you to sleep, they take it out of your hip, and from what I've heard from people that have done that, for a couple of days, it feels like you fell on your butt. You know, we're not talking about great pain, we're talking some discomfort, and we're talking saving a life. So, you know, the comparison is. See?
Thank you, General. I appreciate that. Several announcements here. First of all, Lost and Found have a very nice looking necklace here. I just really wanted to hold on to that. I first met Earl this last fall and just very impressed with him and the work you're doing, and we wish you Godspeed, and I do hope that everyone can participate in that and help with that. We have these announcements. If Grady Johnson and Jeff Finch will begin making their way down front, please. Concert choir, remember we have our recording this evening, 6:30 p.m. at New Heights. Due to that, there'll be no choir today. Save your voices for this evening. Banquet tickets are still on sale today after chapel in the lobby and in the caf during lunch. And we have a special guest here from Lincoln, Nebraska, Jared Wolf, looking at our baseball program. Give us a wave right down here. Yeah, welcome. JV Baseball hosts Hastings today. Go out and enjoy the weather. Doubleheader begins at 6 p.m. Our softball split 2-2 over the weekend and matched and then beat their record from last year. Right? And baseball went 3-0 over the weekend. So congratulations to them. Grady, where you at? Grady?
I was told to be very quick, so I'll just be reading off of my paper. Okay. Every year, the recipients of the Presidential and Dean Scholarships are required to organize a project that both involves and serves the campus of York College or the community. This year's scholars, Brianna Bailey, Jenny Long, Jessica Gonzalez, Natalie Ostrander, Nolan Henningsen, Aubrey Tate, and I invite you to participate in a project that will add beauty to our campus and give honor to those who work hard to serve our students. This year, we are reaching out to the campus with online crowdsourcing through IndiegoGoLife.com to fund 2 Green Mountain sugar maples, part of the landscaping project for the new Performing Arts Center. The first tree will be dedicated to the 2015 recipient of the Ruppert Award, which goes to a faculty or staff member who has gone the second mile in their service to the campus this year. And the second will go to the 2015 faculty and staff members of the year. Both of these will serve to honor those who serve us, the students. Our goal is to raise $645, all of which will be used to fund the trees, the dedication stones, and the 3% fee charged for online transactions. Any excess will go to the fund for the Bartholomew Performing Arts Center. This may seem like a lot, but it's actually less than $2 for every student on campus. If all of us gave a little or a lot, we can reach our goal in no time. I know we're all poor college students, but I'm confident that we can come up with money to give to this just as easily as we come up with money to go on our morning coffee runs or our late night Wendy's runs. And the link to give to this will be sent to your emails today at bit.ly/YCTrees. The deadline to give is Sunday the 26th. In addition, students who give will be entered into a drawing to win gift cards and a very exciting secret prize, which will be announced later this week. That will be at a rate of 1 entry for every $3 given. So the more you give, the more chance you have to win. Any faculty or staff or any off-campus people are welcome to give as well, but only students will be entered into the drawing. This is an opportunity for the students of your college to honor those who have invested in our lives this year and to establish something that we can be proud of that adds beauty to the campus. Please join us in giving you this effort.
If you're a member of the speech team going to nationals, could you please stand and let us recognize you? We've got several that are going to be heading out tomorrow. They're going to be leaving campus. And we wish you well, we wish you luck, and we wish you safe travels. So represent us well. And I want to call up here now the director of Songfest. And I want to recognize Amy Fraser. Ms. Fraser, all the work you do, come on up. Please come up. There are countless hours that go into Songfest every year, and I know a lot of you in the clubs know this, but behind the scenes with the hosts and hostesses and many details with judges, with just getting meals for the cast and or for the crew that's here each night, different things that go on. Amy sweats over this stuff, she loses sleep over this stuff, she frets over every little detail, and it's one reason why Songfest, I think, is so incredible. If you are one of the MCs for this year's show, I'm going to ask you to come down here as well. Don't be shy. They did a great job this year, didn't they? I want to recognize the work that they did. I've got plaques up here. It's just awkward to hand out, but you're going to get it afterwards. So, and if you were one of the hosts or hostesses, please come forward. We want to acknowledge this again.
Also call up Brianna Bailey because she was my assistant director this year, and without her, this would not have been possible. I would also like to point out that Shannon Linen did a lot of work, actually most of the work with the MCs this year. We kind of fine-tuned some things at the end. I don't know if she's here today, does she know, but also if we could give her a round of applause simply. And lastly, I still will need an assistant director next year because I will still be in school and I still cannot do it by myself, and Nolan Henningsen has accepted my offer. One more thing, if I could please have all of those that were in the crew stand up. John is here, I see today. Anyone who did spot or backstage, they are a huge part of the process, and literally we could not do that without their expertise.
Make sure you go swab. We are dismissed. I'm sorry, Stan. It's Monday. It's Monday.
Stands the college we hold so dear. Rooted deep is our loyalty, grounded firm is our faith sincere. In our hearts we'll ever stands a college with aims so high.